What's up, Ram Nation? It's Ryan Keating, SID at Texas Wesleyan. Alongside me is my assistant Cameron Irvine, and we're here for another edition of RamSports.net Ram Talk. With us today, the head coach of men's basketball at Texas Wesleyan. He needs no introduction, but we're going to try and list off all of his accomplishments within a respectable time anyway. Coach Brennen Shingleton is entering his eighth season, or just got finished with his eighth season in 2019 and 20. And he is a two-time national champion, one as an assistant coach and one as a head coach. The program's most recent national championship was in 2017, and during that national championship run, he reached 100 wins, and that made him the fastest coach to reach that milestone in program history. Shingleton was named Sooner Athletic Coach of the Year. Let me go back. Shingleton was named NAIA Coach of the Year in 2017 for that national championship. He was also named Conference Coach of the Year in 2016 and 17, and he led the Rams to 3 consecutive regular season titles from 2016 to 2018. Before coming into this season, his record was 369 and 195. This season he was 21 and 9 and 14 and 6 in conference. One of probably the most toughest conference the Sooner Athletic Conference is in NAIA basketball Division I. He joined the Texas Wesleyan program in 2002 as an assistant coach, and now he's the head coach, and he's here with us today to talk to us. Coach, how's it going?
Good. I mean, the weather's great. My kids just left, so I might have some peace and quiet. But outside of that, I think everything's good. You know, we're healthy and hopefully looking for a little bit brighter days here sooner than later. So, yeah, everything is great as of right now.
Totally agree. Yeah, so talk about how the effect that that the coronavirus has kind of had on maybe recruiting and maybe touch on a little bit of what you think athletics will look like, specifically the men's basketball program, when we try to resume these normal sports activities.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I'm not sure this hasn't affected everybody in a lot of different ways, but in a common denominator way, it's forcing us to communicate a little bit better. You know, and look at the way we're talking to each other now rather than shooting each other emails, you know, and so text messages have been okay, but I'll tell you, the only way that we've really gathered a kid's attention right now is picking up the phone and calling them. You know, I've never been big on FaceTime and Zoom meetings and this and that, but golly, I mean, I think that's the only way we're getting anybody's attention. So it's made us have to be creative. It's more importantly made us have to communicate better. And on the flip side, it's allowing us to really look at our strengths, pay attention to our weaknesses as a program in our university, and try to find creatively ways to make our situation attractive to kids that might not have the ability to look at those things before this virus. So, you know, obviously with not being able to bring kids on campus, we've come up with different ways to attract these kids, and I think that's been a good thing. So I don't know if this has made us better or really exposed some of our weaknesses, but we've had a challenge of now spending time getting to know kids on the phone, combing through certain situations on how to respond to those things, and recruiting is all about networking, and more importantly, finding ways to attract kids to your program that want to be here rather than they feel like, you know, Coach so-and-so tells me this is a good place. Well, now they can't show up on our campus. They can't see Fort Worth. They can't do these things. So we're having to really gain relationships with them quickly, which is something that we've always done, but you really, without seeing them in person and getting to laugh with them and eat with them or whatever it might be, you're having to talk to them on the phone. So the phone, thankfully my assistant's good with this FaceTime thing, and, you know, multimedia or whatever those outlets are. So it's been a challenge, but it really hasn't been that difficult. I mean, I think these kids are really more comfortable doing these things and sitting face to face like you and I are or would. That's when they tend to get uncomfortable. But this, getting on the phone and social media and stuff like that, I think it's really kind of played into their hands. So I hope it doesn't continue with this way. I prefer to shake a kid's hand, or at this point, give them a dap or an elbow bump or something like that. But I prefer to be face to face with people just because I want to see their true colors, being awkward, how do they control their eye contact, stuff like that. But until that point, this is what we've got to do, and the world isn't stopping, and we're anticipating having a season. So we're going to compete with the rest of the schools and figure out ways to do it.
Right. So, Coach, your team has made the national tournament 6 times in the last decade. Your program, the program that you've built, is so prestigious, and tons of accolades and awards. Talk about Texas Wesleyan's competitive advantage, maybe the institution advantage, and then the program advantage. What sets Texas Wesleyan apart from other NAIA institutions?
And thankfully you said that, but it obviously started way before me, and I was part of it. But that being said, until something happens at your university or athletically, kids like to be a part of potential or maybe being the first of something. But I will tell you that a lot of times, at least in this generation, kids want to know that they can obtain it, and until that is in their face or on paper or on a banner or with a coaching staff, or, and I get, and again, this is just out of my personality, but I get so many kids, either current players, former players, coaches, whatever, ask me, Coach, how come you don't wear these rings, man? How come you don't do this and that? And it's because I'm greedy, Ryan. Just to be honest with you, I want more. I want another one. I want another. And so I don't want to wear a ring and have a kid go to me, well, Coach, you're wearing a ring from so-and-so. I get it. I want another one, And so I think that what Texas Wesleyan's provided us is, one, the support and the platform that you can't beat living in Dallas-Fort Worth. I mean, are you kidding? I mean, look at the weather, look at the opportunity, the transient opportunity that these kids can fly in and out of here pretty cheaply. There's 2 airports. There's endless entertainment. The opportunity to live in a big city but go to a small school rather than living in Podunk, wherever. This is going to go viral, so I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But wherever, you get to live in a great spot, right? And opportunities post-college to work, to network. These are all things that Dallas-Fort Worth and Texas Wesleyan provides us, and then a kid gets to see, okay, there's some stability in the coaching staff. There's stability in the athletic department. There's stability within current players and former players coming back. Guys want that, and that's the easy way, right? And there are some kids that want to go to a school that has a big arena that's never done anything, and we're going to be the first. Well, I'll tell you, good luck with that, because it's one thing being the first, and it's another thing knowing that you can come somewhere and I don't want to sound too crazy, but we kind of feel like we're Chick-fil-A, every once in a while you go to Burger King, you're like, man, that was pretty good. But you go to Chick-fil-A, you know damn well what you're going to get every time you go there. That's why the line wraps around the building, and it's fast and it's efficient. We prefer to be Chick-fil-A, and that's what we try to provide our guys. Doesn't necessarily always work. Sometimes they give you the wrong sauce or not enough fries in the basket or whatever. But for the most part, we want to provide our guys an opportunity to come in, play at a high level, compete for national championships, conference championships, graduate, be in a network and in a family system that they can call Ben Hunt, they can call Nino Etienne, they can call these guys from a long time ago after they're done playing and say, give me some advice. How do I get to the next step in my life? Whatever it might be. Now that Brian Wanamaker's back, he played 6 years in professional basketball. The only reason he's still not playing is because of some goofy FIBA rule that he couldn't get around. or he'd still be playing. And so now he's back injecting his life into our guys. And you're talking about a guy that I had to drag to this school. And I had to hold him down and say, Brian, please, don't leave. And he ended up being a first-team All-American, and now he's coming back. And you'll never meet a guy more passionate about this place. So that kind of circle of life is the platform that we hope that we provided in the basketball arena, but then that's what Texas Wesleyan's all about. So it's kind of a match. It's an easy match, but I don't want to sound like we've got a competitive advantage other than the fact that we're just damn passionate about what we do. And then the fact of the matter is we've been fortunate enough to do it, not talk about it. So I think guys really like that.
Yeah, I mean, and it shows, right? I mean, every season there's at least 2 or 3 guys where you just look at the guys on the court and you say, that's the kind of guy, that's the kind of student athlete that makes Texas Wesleyan Texas Wesleyan.
Sure. That's what we do, because you'd love to have 100%, but I don't have 100% of anything. I mean, I've always been a B student, and that's okay with me. It didn't really slow me down, but but you're right, and that's the beauty of what I believe is recruiting. You should work hard enough to find what you want, and then if it doesn't happen, it really falls on the coach's lap. It doesn't mean that you're gonna get 100% things happen, because kids change. They're human beings as well. They might present you, God knows we all dated a girl before, and she didn't turn out to be who we thought she was. So sometimes that happens with recruiting as well. But you should, as a recruiter, as a representative of Texas Wesleyan, and knowing what this university provides us, we should be able to go get young men that promote this great school. So
you talked about Brian Wanamaker, Texas Wesleyan alum, great player.
Arguably top 5, easy.
Yeah, amazing player, and now he's here as an assistant coach. Talk about Brian, and also a little bit about Matt Garnett, your associate head coach, and just what they bring to the table and their strongest traits and personalities.
Yeah, so Matt just recently took a high school job, so he's not going to be with us next year, but he's connected to the university and us. But Brian, Matt, gosh, I don't need to talk to Matt. Everybody that knows Matt knows that he was such a pivotal point, or such an injection of what's right about basketball and in college at the time that we needed it the most. And so Matt is a dear friend of us, and always will be assisting our program from a distance. But Brian, where Brian has came back is he's come full circle. Brian now will self tell you that everything that he wishes that he could do again, he's helping guys do right the first time now. Like take advantage of the opportunity of coaching, take advantage of the opportunity of class, take advantage of the opportunity of people on campus that you didn't expect to help you, that are there to help you. Learn to communicate with people that are outside of your circle, all those things. And those are the things now that he's cherishing, right? And so he's able to really inject that into the guys that we're recruiting. And I love him because, we're going on 13, well, I guess it would be 13 years of knowing him, less than that, maybe 10. And so now he's coming back, and he was very quiet in when he was a player. Off the court, he was a determined pit bull on the court, but he's very quiet off the court. And now I'm getting him and putting him in situations that he looks back at me and smiles and goes, "Coach, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, you're going to have to talk now, because you can't be a coach and show them. You got to be able to communicate it and teach them." And so that he's been great for me. He brings a different perspective. The guys relate to him. And I'm going to tell you, Ryan, I'm not sure if he's not in the gym. We had Brady last year, and he was good. Brian's right up there too. I mean, he could be arguably the best player in the gym, and he's putting on a golf shirt for games every day. So, and that's a heck of an attribute to have. for sure. So,
Coach, you recruit players from all over this country, and sometimes the first time you might see their parents there is on senior day.
yep,
Some of them are from all over the world, and you
right,
never get to see them, and they never get to see their kids play in person.
right,
Your parents are there at least every game at the SID. I don't know if they
sure.
travel with you, but uh,
No,
one of my favorite games is the blood vessel game. Who pops one first, you or your dad? Uh,
sure.
and having somebody in the stands that's as passionate as you is such a unique thing. How much of a blessing do you feel that on game day, constantly having your parents there watching you?
I love it. It worries me a little bit because at times I kind of they don't get, it's 2 hours a week or 4 hours a week or whatever it might be, and I have to kind of sit there and tell them, Dad or Mom, there's so much that goes into this. You're hanging on a kid that can't shoot free throws to begin with, and you're wanting him to learn to shoot free throws in a week. And it's just, I love that they're there. It makes it for an experience, which is why I keep coming back to Texas Wesleyan. But the apple doesn't fall from the tree. I wish I could calm down, but I can still remember in high school my dad yelling at my butt, "Run, that, yes, that." So it's a good problem to have. I love that they get enthusiastic about it, and they're tremendous supporters of our guys and our program. And I don't know if I want it any other way. If they were up there sitting on their hands, then there'd be two less people screaming in the stands. And I think it's, the referees are never any good anyway. So we need a couple more people. We need a couple more people we can get on the refs about, right? So,
Coach, you weren't considered the maybe the favorite in the 2020 tournament, but you weren't the favorite in 2017
no,
either. You won the whole thing. So given that fact, how deflating was it not getting to go out there and see if you could go get another one?
Cam, let me tell you, I probably wasn't my wife's favorite either. And I prefer that role, man. This team that we had going into Kansas City was going to be a completely difficult out. I think if we would have gone up there and made a few shots early, and gotten a little bit of a defensive rhythm, that we were never a great defensive team. We had to manufacture stops. We had to manufacture mentalities. And Brian and I had to do a great job of kind of seeing a play before the play. And when I mean that, I meant like substitution wise, right? Getting the right formula of guys out there and staying away from guys that were, weaknesses are matching out there defensively. So I felt like going up, and we got a great draw too. I mean, what's his name? Out of Montana, was very similar to John Brown, but less athletic. I mean, it was a great draw for us. And so I'm chomping at the bit in practice. I'm hammering these guys going, listen, here's what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is it, man. The hardest game of the tournament's the first one. You go up there after you get the first one, you roll the dice and you play. And I'm thinking to myself, golly, this is everything I wanted. I wanted another shot of not having the pressure of going up there. And, the hardest game that we played, that I ever played at Texas Wesleyan, the hardest was the one after we won the national championship at 17. And because prior to that, I don't know, Ryan might know the stats better than me, but I think it was like 8 years prior to that, the defending national champion didn't even qualify for the national tournament. Mm-hmm. And so going into that year, I felt so much pressure to give the guys that year after the opportunity to go up there and get on that floor, that I was wearing myself out, wearing the team out, in the sense that they didn't know what I was on them for. And so this year, I felt like, man, just get us there, because I know this group can go up there and hit. We can score with anybody. And they had the right mindset. They were deflated after we got knocked out of the opportunity to win the conference championship. And so they were starting to kind of gas up a little bit. And then knowing that we had a barn burner with science and arts who happened to be playing well at the right time, And that whatever that game ended up being, 97,000 to 96,000 or whatever the hell it was. But it was too high a scoring anyway. But I felt like going into Kansas City, we were going to be really primed and ready to roll. And then life comes in, right? And you got to learn to now do exactly what I've been harping on these guys all year long about. And you can't take advantage of time. I mean, if you just don't know when time slips up on you. And those things happen. We practiced that morning. I got a call at 11 to get on a coach's call. By 12 o'clock, our season was over. And there it is. And so I think the beauty of that is we've got a ton of guys back. They now know through all of my Dr. Phil sessions and all these different crap that we do, that they know that we are going to take advantage of an opportunity if presented to us again. And so I felt like we had a good shot. Now, does that mean that we were going to go up there and win the thing? No. Does that mean that we could have gone up there and won a game and really propelled ourselves into the right mindset to make a run? Absolutely. I've seen it done before. I've been part of it. I've seen guys go up there. I mean, shoot, Wanamaker's year, they were 30-1. I think they were probably the most dominant team in the NAIA at that time, won 19 or 20 straight, and they go and lose the first round, or second round, sorry. And so, there's things that can happen, but I felt like the way we scored, the way we moved the ball, the depth that we had, we didn't have a necessary leading scorer, so the scouting report wouldn't have honed in on one guy. We had balance. If we would have defended and rebounded, which would have been just an instinctive challenge in that night, I thought our athleticism would have kicked in against Carroll, Montana. And then again, you just never know. But I was enthusiastic about it as I'd been any other time. And obviously, we're sitting here on an interview virtually now. So it's just you can't deny those things sometimes. But my enthusiasm was skyrocketed. We weren't coasting into that deal. We were gassing up for sure.
Coach, just to dip into your personal life a little bit, the quarantine has affected all of us in lots of different ways. For me, I hate my hair. I need a haircut. I'm starting to explore some different options. So
Kim, I don't feel bad for you as the sun's beating on my head right now.
Well, when did you make the decision that you were done with it and went bald?
Okay, so you want to go in depth, and I know this is going to go viral, so I got to keep it a little bit PG if less. All right, so we went. I out of college, I had no idea what I was going to do. I was a little bit of a gypsy, and so I ended up getting in the restaurant business. I ended up owning or somewhat owning a restaurant, part owning a restaurant in Montana. I had let my hair grow out, man. Great curls, tight curls. Go back to when I first got to Texas Wesleyan. I had nice beard growing, and this was Montana now, so it was I was cool, right? And so I decided to get out of the restaurant business. I came back. Obviously, my dad being a former military guy, I show up at his doorstep at like 3 a.m. after driving all night. And he says, "Hey, what the hell's wrong with you?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You need a haircut." And so as soon as I cut it, I could never be the same. All of a sudden, I looked like a monk, and we weren't going down that road again. So at this point, I just made a conscious decision and just said, you know what, this is easier. I shower better. I swim faster. The hats fit a little bit better. And at this point, there's no going back. Now, genetics has taken over, and this is the only way I can go.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Coach, what frustrates you the most? What's your pet peeve as a coach?
I can't stand not taking advantage of time and opportunity. I can live with a lot of stuff, Ryan. I mean, I can live with temperaments. I challenge my guys to get enthusiastic with me, right? I want guys to be passionate, but I cannot stand when somebody doesn't take advantage of time and opportunity. Like, don't sleep in, man. You got your whole life to be lazy. Don't, if a coach works hard for you, if a teacher goes out of their way, if somebody does something for you, take advantage of the time and the opportunity, right? Because then you just don't know. We've never lived through this before. Think about what these guys are wishing they could do right now. They wish that they could be in the gym. They wish they could be holding their mom's hand. All these all this stuff they wish they could do. And those are the type of things that we just didn't take advantage. Like these young guys just keep thinking that there's going to be something else down the road that's going to provide them the time and the opportunity. And so if there's one thing that drives me crazy, it's that. I can't stand it. I literally, I've ran guys out of the gym for being a minute late. And the great thing is, Ryan, all it takes is once. And then they realize, man, I can do a lot with coach, but I cannot be late and I cannot waste an opportunity. I can't go half speed. I can't do this. I can't do that, because if I do it, he's going to be on me, you know. And obviously there's personal issues with me. Like we don't be disrespectful to women and all this different stuff. And I can't, there's certain language, even though as bad as mine can be, there's certain words in our program that we don't use. And so there's that kind of stuff. But the time and opportunity, man, those are things that are given to us, presented to us every day. Sometimes we don't even know they're right in front of us. And now my guys are at home trying to figure out how to dribble in a driveway. And they're sitting here going, man, that gym was really nice, wasn't it? Yes, it sure was. And you didn't use it very much, did you? Nope, I didn't. Okay, so when we get back in August, they're going to be kicking you out of the gym, right? They sure are. That time and opportunity. How good was our weight room? Man, the weight room was, it wasn't that great when we were there. How good would it be now? Perfect, wasn't it? Everything you want. Man, wouldn't you love to be sitting in a classroom kissing that teacher's butt now? Instead, you're having to email her. Man, time and opportunity. It's that simple. It drives me crazy. And people wonder why I get up so early and all this other stuff, because I keep thinking somebody's going to come back and, like Cam said, maybe plant a nice head of hair on me, or maybe I'll do this. I got an opportunity every day, right? Hopefully. And so that's just the one thing that just eats at me. Literally just eats at me is wasted time and opportunity. Does that mean that I'm full on all day long? Heck no, nobody can keep up like that. But I'll tell you, my eyes are wide open, and I'm always ready for a new opportunity of some sort to take advantage of. So pretty easy on that front.
Okay. Yeah, you talked about kicking players out of the gym or having to kick student athletes out of the gym. It was great to see, especially after games. Sam Lorenzen would come back in the gym. He'd be shooting.
Right.
Not just him. It'd be a handful of guys, coming back and just living in the gym. And I think that's a really great culture to have in your program.
Yeah.
Brennen, talk about some of the best and worst aspects of operating in the NAIA?
Well, I think the best is our freedom of communication. I think the best is obviously our ability to develop relationships with our student athletes, right? So we don't have all the NCAA requirements of contact and things like that. Okay, so I can go buy a kid a hamburger. Is it a violation? Well, I'm viral now, so I guess if it is, it is. But having a meal, that kind of things, I think are tremendous advantages for us. Okay, so that in itself is probably where the line is drawn. I think the NAIA has so many things that we have to improve on. Our legislation, the ability to govern each other. Some of these things and these rules that they're coming up with now are not universal. They're just not. There are certain schools that are capable of doing things the right way, and you would hope and assume that most schools can, but they're not. And that's part of the difficulties that the NAIA has. And I hope that, to be optimistic that they will do those things. But I think the NAIA kind of handicaps you in a lot of ways in certain aspects. So I think the challenges ahead are those. But I mean, does the NCAA present a better opportunity for us? Probably not. But the NAIA does present a winnable opportunity for us right now. So I don't know. The negative side of the NAIA is probably hit or miss. The positive side of the NAIA is clear as day to me. So,
Coach, you played for Southeastern Louisiana, right?
Yes, I did.
Talk about your favorite memory from your playing days.
Well, I don't know if I actually had a playing memory that rings a bell. I think the memories that exist for me in college basketball were the things that really never translated to a stat sheet. Uh, Traveling, hotels, team meetings, horseplay, goofing around with each other, this, that, living together, you know, challenging each other in practice. We have, and that's, I think, the beauty of technology now is we have a group text from my teammates that we keep up with, and we all know each other. I've got one of my teammates that transferred out when he was a sophomore. Actually, when I was a junior, he was a sophomore, and now he's a big-time lawyer in Tampa. And I keep up with him, and we give each other a hard time all the time because he looks exactly the same, and I look like like a really aging version of myself back then. But I had a little bit of hair then, and I didn't have the wrinkles, and my jaw was more prominent. It wasn't like puffy like it is now, and so. So I think that's where I really draw my memories is the practices, the tough times, coaches challenging us, looking at teammates responding to each other, getting to know guys that maybe didn't have the same parental background that I had, and getting to know their experiences. So it's really funny because time passes, but the experiences are all still the same. I mean, there's only a handful of us in the coaching world to get to experience the Kansas and Duke's lifestyle, right? So the majority of us are riding on buses and sharing meals and trying to be creative in Subway. Think about that. You're trying to be creative in Subway. We eat Subway 100 times a year. And some guys are superstitious and they're like, man, I got to have the turkey, this and that every time. And then most of us are sitting there going, holy cow, I'm gagging right now trying to think of what to eat at Subway again. And those are the funny stories, right? And you're sitting down and your placement's different, but you're eating the same food or whatever. So I think those are really the stories that we try to encourage at this level, because at the end of the day, very few of us are going to remember a shot that Ben Hunt hit, or that all these guys that go through their lives trying to remember what happened to us. So that being said, I think that back in my playing days, of course, there were a couple of plays that I remember, but the majority of my experiences really took place probably, again, whether it was the nightlife or hanging around in the dorms and the apartments or off the court or in the locker room and stuff like that. That's really where the majority of my experience comes from then.
Yeah, and you echo most of what the other coaches have said
Sure.
in our interviews with them too. It's not really about specific play; it's more about
Sure.
the team aspect and the camaraderie.
And Deion Rogers was the shot I was thinking of, and I just couldn't remember his name.
Yeah,
But
that was a great one.
yeah, sure.
Coach, who's your favorite basketball player ever?
My son Connor and my daughter Kendall. They're gonna be able to play. My other daughter Natalie's sneaky athletic, but if a butterfly flies by, forget it. No, going back to probably Kevin Garnett or Charles Barkley were two guys that really just grabbed my attention. I think the easy answers, the legends of the sort, but the guys that really grabbed my attention were the enthusiastic guys like Kevin Garnett and Charles Barkley. Obviously, being a kid of my generation, you obviously grew up with Michael Jordan and things like that. But that being said, those three are easy targets for me.
Who's your if you were quarantined in a house with three Texas Wesleyan Athletic staff members, who would they be?
Oh, this is easy. Three: Ricky, Bobby Cornett, and Kevin Milliken. That's easy. That's our foursome, man. I've known Ricky Dodson since I was 17. Cornette and Kevin have been with me since I was trying to figure out where the hallways were in Texas Wesleyan, and so that's money. I mean, those guys. I'm probably leaving out a few, but those three guys, man, I probably had 500 lunches with them and played some golf, and they've kicked my butt up and down the course and plenty of drinks. I was in Ricky's wedding. Everybody was at mine. So that's an easy one. I'm leaving Eddie off of this thing, by the way. Eddie's not included in that group.
Coach,
Eddie Rodriguez is our maintenance
Jim
guy.
Lee, he's the one that's
extraordinaire. Super
right.
rampant, yeah.
But he does nothing for free. Let's put that online.
Coach, rank these three jobs in order of which of what you would take: baseball, football, soccer.
Rank the three jobs in which I would take.
Yes.
Well, I would definitely. I love women's soccer. I'm going to be politically correct. Let's see. I would coach football, then soccer, then baseball.
All right.
Football is so intense, isn't it? And then I love the speed and athleticism of soccer. And then I love the strategic value of baseball. And obviously it's so hard to hit a baseball, so I like that part of it. But, anytime a game takes 4.5 hours, man, are you kidding me? Unless they allow you to have some sort of substance in the locker room, that's going to be tough. So
we're enjoying hearing your beautiful kids.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah,
no, it's okay. It's totally fine. Hey, this is what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's tackled one of them coming out the door. So
it's like being out in the wild,
Hey, let me put this on record. I'm not the toughest guy in my house now. I mean, my wife's by far the best coach. You ought to see her. She just tackled my 2-year-old on the floor there. Oh.
And your wife was a volleyball player, right?
My wife played volleyball at University of Arkansas. She's now the head volleyball coach at Legacy High School here in Mansfield, and by far the best athlete in the house still. So
yeah, so we got to be watching out for those Shingleton kids growing up. They're going to be
they're all going to be pianists and librarians if they make it through this quarantine.
No. Coach, you have an in-home chef for one day. Wouldn't that be great? What are you requesting
one day?
What are you requesting for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
And again, I'm going to brag about my daughter Kendall. She can cook, but I think if I had an in-home chef right now, his name would be Ruffin Rodrigue. The name doesn't ring a bell, but I worked with him in Louisiana when I was a young guy coming up in the restaurant business. This guy could scratch cook like no one else. Walk into a kitchen, and whatever was available, bang, he could make it, and it would blow you away. Seafood, steaks, Mexican, whatever it was, Ruffin Rodrigue. And the other side of it, too, is this camera right here makes my head look a little small. Ruffin Rodrigue had the biggest head I'd ever met in a human being. And I kid you not, he played football at LSU, and I still believe that he holds the record for the largest helmet in LSU football history. His head was this big. Huge head. But, man, that dude could cook now. But he would tell a bunch of stories, too. So, that's all.
What's your favorite meal by him?
He did a thing called barbecued shrimp, and it'd take these massive Gulf shrimp, and he'd, shell them and all this other stuff. And then he'd take this butter, and he'd put a bunch of Cajun seasoning in it, and he would simmer these shrimp in this butter, and then he would throw it over top of some rice. And then he would do, this was always late night cooking too, Ryan, like after the, so, you were pretty hydrated and all this other stuff. But, and he would put a little fillet or steak on the side of this thing. Unbelievable. Makes my mouth water right now. So.
Hungry, yeah. You have one binge. Are you a TV guy or a music guy? You listen to more music or watch TV?
Definitely music. We listen to music all day, every day in this house, and all genres. My kids are always kind of, now that they're around me more than usual, they're listening. All of a sudden, Beastie Boys is coming out, and these different things like that. This is pretty good. Yeah, because I don't do this new music stuff, right? Like I don't know anything about Tic Tac and all this other stuff, right? So we stick with the good music around this house. anything live, I'm good with all that stuff. So
Favorite band? Beastie Boys?
no, I like live music. So I'm gonna kind of date myself a little bit. I can do anything from the Dave Matthews genre and all that stuff. I like the live stuff. I like a little bit of off the beaten path. Not the, I can't. I just haven't wrapped my head around this new stuff. I can't do it. So, I prefer to have some sort of meaning behind a song rather than a bunch of words and a beat and a car driving by or something. So.
Well, Coach, how can recruits find you guys? Are you on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan, correct me because I think it's at Coach Shingleton for the Twitter. I believe I have an Instagram, but I have no idea what that is. On our website, obviously, has great information on how to reach us. And I think that I might be one of the head coaches that respond to you via email and put my cell on there. I prefer to not. I want to be as transparent as possible. We're not that busy. We can help you in any way. Twitter I think is a great thing used correctly. Instagram, I'm not necessarily on that as much. We use that to all you recruits out there. We use that to kind of pay attention to what you're doing. It's important that you're putting your brand out there as well. I don't put a whole lot of personal information on any social media aspect, but I do pay attention to what guys put on there. So that, once you email us or get a hold of us in one way or the other, we typically will give you all of our links and whatever those handle things are and all that stuff. We'll provide all that stuff to you.
And you can look on ramsports.net if you want to find that information. Coach Shingleton's email is bshingleton@txwest.edu. Again, you can find all that info on ramsports.net. Coach, thanks for your time, and it's been a blast talking with you. And I just want to say personally, as a young punk kid coming in to Texas Wesleyan in 2004, your personality and having an office across the hall, my boss's office, you were right across the hall. Just having you there was very influential to me, and the intensity that you bring to life and to the game of basketball has helped me in a positive way, and I really appreciate everything that you do for Texas Wesleyan.
Well, I appreciate it, Ryan, and I know and I know personally you've only been the brunt of one of my antics on the sidelines. I know you probably think it's probably been like 20, but I know it's only been one that I know that I was a little irritated. But going back to what you're saying, let me piggyback on what you guys do, and I know this probably isn't important as much on the video, but you guys don't get to choose your schedules. You get implemented that. So the patience that you guys provide and the outlets that you guys have to perform it's second to none. So we thank you publicly, and it's amazing how good looking I am on this camera that you provided this outlet for. I mean, we're gonna get some hits on this thing, Ryan.
That's the hope. That's the hope.
Yeah,
well,
you guys
highly entertaining, and
yeah.
I'm sure this thing will go viral. So
I hope so. Hopefully you'll shut it down after like 3 retweets and let me continue to do my job. But thank you, Cam. Thank you, Ryan. You guys stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you sooner than later.
all right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, see you.